Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today we're going to be playing around with some collage tissues and continuing the picture and colours from the tissue. So I've got my craft journal. I have put a little bit of white gesso on my page because I'm using a collage tissue that has a white base to it, so I want something that it's not going to blend all into the background. Now just over the gloss spray, over the gel medium, I'm using some of my gloss sprays. So I've got some blushing here. I'm trying to spray out some fuchsia, but it wasn't really spraying, so I'm just pouring it on instead because why not. And I'm wiping it over the gesso. Now the reason for this, and you can kind of see it on the edges of where I don't have any gesso, because the craft paper is so absorbent, if you put the gloss spray straight onto the craft, unless it's very thick like in a big blob, it's actually going to sink in. You're going to get a much lighter colour. By putting the white underneath it, it seals the page and it means the colour stays true and stays on top, so it doesn't soak in as much. Once I've finished doing that, I wanted to add some stars into my background as well. So I've got the sterling gloss spray to place over the top and to spray onto my background. Now the metallics on the craft are the kind of exception to the rule, because I think they've got some mica in it or something to make it sparkle. That actually sits on the surface, so it doesn't actually sink in as much as some of the other colours. So you can get that beautiful contrast of the craft with the metallics. Then I just spritzed on some of the gold to create an interesting background as well. So here is my image that I've got. It seems really simple, gorgeous sort of inky line drawing that I'm just gluing onto my page. It did come with a whole heap of sort of dust that came off the side of the page in blacks, which I didn't particularly want on this page. But I wanted to sort of replicate that with the colours I've got underneath. So that's why I've sort of put those where I have on my page. It also obviously doesn't have the head or the top of the head, so I knew that I had to draw that in or add to that to finish off my page. So one of the first things I did was draw in my eye. So I had a bit of an idea of where I wanted my the focal area of my page to be. Now I'm going in and I'm actually painting in some hair for my image. So obviously I've got a little bit of hair on this collage tissue, so I'm just extending that out. So from the looks of it, it looks like sort of a short pixie do, so that's kind of what I continued on with. I'm using the marine, which is sort of petrol blue colour, because it's a good contrast to the colours I've used in the background. Once I have finished painting it, I'm just going to dry it off, and then I'm going in with my gloss sprays to paint my image. So I quite often use my gloss sprays like this, where I dip my paintbrush into the bottle itself, because it's a great way to get a translucent colour really easily. So while I love using straight acrylic paints, they can be quite opaque, and I wanted to see some of that detail going in underneath. The other thing with the gloss sprays is it's a really easy way to build up your layers, so you can just slowly but surely sort of build up where the shades should be. While I start off using my paintbrush, I do often go in and blend with my finger as well. So once I finish that, I'm going in with a little bit of the blue just to add some shadows onto my image as well. And then I decided that I actually wanted to have her hair be a lot darker or a lot more blue than it was before. So you've almost got that black blue thing happening. So I've used some of the lapis spray to add some of that blue into her hair. And while I'm fiddling and playing around, I've got some fuchsia paint out again to match the background. So sort of going in, matching those colours, extending those images out, and the repetition of colour is really important. Just to add in a little bit of detail to her nose, I'm just using some of that fuchsia as well as a bit of a shade that I can create a bit of a shadow from it. So while it looks like she doesn't have a nose on this picture, it does actually come through from the tissue, you can actually see it close up. So where I'm working, I can still see where that nose is, which is the other reason why I really like using collage tissues, because you do have these, the model of what it's supposed to look like underneath. So I can go back in over the top with my Stabilo Oil pencil here and add in the detail, add in those lines, make it look like I've drawn it myself. In actual fact, it's the collage tissue that I'm just drawing over the top of. So it's a great way to help train your hand in how to draw faces. The fact that, you know, the collage tissue, it had some shading on it as well, is a great way to help model where the darkest areas of your face need to be. So you can use it to help support you when you're learning how to draw faces or how to paint and create faces. So just going in and adding a bit more detail to her eyes. You can see me thinking, what do I want to do now? Trimming off the edge. Quite often when I'm still thinking about what I want to do, I tend to do those sort of end job things like trimming off excess tissue or cleaning up something that I don't usually clean up to work out what I'm doing. Now I decided I wanted to write a quote. So obviously I've got a great space in this side area that I can write my quote in. And I'm just writing out with my paint pen first, really quickly to find out my spacing. And now I'm going to go in and thicken up my letters so I can see a little bit better. So I use my thin pen first, and now I'm going in with a thicker pen to one, make it a little bit darker, make it pop out from the background. Two, because I've already got my spacing on here, that I can now make sure that everything sort of fits in around where it needs to be. So you can see, like with the have, I didn't have much space. That's smaller than the other words on the page. So girl, you've already got what it takes, which I really like. This is my sort of faces, figures journal. So a lot of the quotes in here are empowering, strong women type quotes, things that I sort of needed to tell myself at the time, which are quite often why I have the quotes I do on my page. If I don't feel like journaling, I tend to find a quote that speaks to me about how I'm feeling at the time, or how the image is telling me how they feel. So the fact that she's got such a strong look on her face really sort of plays in with what the background says. So in the close-up you can see the detail, you can see the layering of the gloss sprays over the top of each other, how the gloss sprays work with the writing and with the craft paper to tie it all together. So I hope you have a go at doing this and having play around. You'll find the details of where I got the collage paper in the description box below. Have a go. Try practicing painting your faces with some gloss sprays, and until next time, bye for now.